Hello and welcome back to the AA's YouTube channel. We have got the whopper value MG ZS EV for you here today. The market has been crying out for more and more SUVs. It's a real trend over the last few years. And at the same time, there's an increasing call for electric vehicles. And manufacturers started to answer those calls with a blend of electric and SUV. And we've had some fantastic ones, be it the Model Y, the Model X, the Audi e-tron, the Q4 e-tron, ID4. The list goes on and on. But they're all a little bit expensive. Some of them are hugely expensive. But that's a bit of an issue for people. So in stepped Chinese manufacturing giant SAIC Motor, who now own the MG brand. And they started offering us this SUV and also an estate version and the just released MG4 hatchback. But it's the SUV one we're talking about today. And it's coming in at a much lower price than some of the competitors. But there is an issue there when it comes to buying one of these. We'll get onto that later. First, what we'll do is we'll have a walk around the car, have a look at the space inside, a little bit of the tech, take it out for a spin, talk about range and batteries and things like that, and then we'll make up our minds. So the ZS EV got a nice update there about a year ago when it was relaunched, and one of the main differences that you'll see from the front end here is this completely closed off grille, and I really like that. I think it looks a lot sharper than the older version. Looks quite nice. And here we go, charging just in there, pops open, but we'll talk a little bit about charging and range later on. From the side you can really see that SUV profile, but it's not as big as you might expect actually. It's only 4.3 meters long, which isn't huge, and the weight of the car, it's only 1.7 tons or thereabouts, which isn't that heavy with electric vehicles these days having those big chunky batteries underneath. I like the appearance of it overall. A little bit of chrome effect going on around the windows, the handles up here, rated for about 75 kilos. We're on 17-inch. Now they're plastic inserts that go over the alloys. They help, aero caps basically, help with a little bit of efficiency and give you that bit more range, which we do like in an EV. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments down below. Do you like the look of it? Around the back, and I still think it looks pretty good here. We've got the wiper, which you don't get in every car these days. Tiny little spoiler just there with the rear light. Now our camera, rear facing camera, is just right the way down the bottom here. You can also see a few little sensors, and we might touch on that later when we're out driving the car. The handle here is your MG badge. Lift that up. It's not electronic, but we're not expecting it this kind of price point. And we've got a quite decent 448 litres in there. Now it's not absolutely massive, not leading the market at all, but it's plenty for most people, isn't it? One thing I do like though is you get a little bit of netting down the side just there, and the floor is kind of modular, so you can take out that bottom and then slide it back up on another ledge just there. Not quite a flat floor, but a lot easier to get packages in and out. Fold down the seats there in a 40-60 split and you're out to 1,166 litres, which is decent enough space. Let's have a look at interior space as well, because this car, it's only about 4.3 meters long. It's not going to be massive, so let's see, what does that actually mean? Well, I'm 6'2", about 1.88 meters tall, and I've got this in a seating position for me. Now you can adjust. We don't have reach, but we do have right there, which is nice. So yeah, comfortable seating position for me. Electronic adjustment if you do want it, by the way. So yeah, there we go. Let's have a look in the back now and see what it's like. So reminder that this is two people of 6'2". Fit in easily enough there. And okay, so my legs are just about kind of touching the back of the seat here. On a longer journey now, might not be too happy, but having said that, if it comes to it, you just ask the driver to move forward, a couple of inches. It won't bother them at all, and then I could actually fit in. But if you're just looking at regular sized people or a baby seat in the back, yeah, it's absolutely fine. Plenty of space. So we're about to pull out in the MG ZS EV, and we've got a 115 kilowatt motor, and whoa, yeah, planted my foot there and the wheels actually spun out. That's what, well, EVs, electric cars, you just get 100% of the power and the torque available almost instantaneously. So this is a 115 kilowatt motor, which is just over 150 horsepower and 280 Newton meters of torque. So it moves. Like the 0 to 100 kilometer an hour sprint is 8.4 seconds, which, that's beaten by a few cars out there in the market, all right, but that's pretty tidy. It's a decent amount for like a mid-sized SUV. It's quite good, and you do have a power. So here we are going along this road at 60 kilometers an hour. The limit is 80, so right, doing 60, floored in 1, 2, 3, 60, 70, 5, 8, whoa, still down. Yeah, it's up to 80, just like that. The power carries through up to the upper end. So you're merging on motorways and or doing a little overtaking on a national road. There's plenty there to get you around. And you're not worried about dropping gears or anything because the power is just there all the time. And then, so let's have a little look around the interior and get a feel for it. You know, it feels decent in here. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, you know. Like it looks a little bit better than it is probably. Some nice kind of carbon effect here. Looks like leather, you know, but they're kind of cheaper plastics once you do get into it. The stitching here, the contrast stitching is nice, but if you actually feel up the panel, it's a little bit hard edged and stuff. But let's then remind ourselves of the price point. We are not criticizing this at all. It's quite good. So what do we have? Well, we've got the infotainment screen just here, and a little bit grayscale. It's not the fastest, but it's absolutely fine. There's a lot going on. So your battery percentage, you can program it when you want to charge. We've got Android Auto, so you just plug your phone in there. Nice little place to keep your phone, and a lot of options as well, a lot of settings for energy management, the cameras, the video, AC. You can program a lot in here actually. Click on vehicle, for example. There's door locks, your mirrors, the lighting, automatic high beam, vehicle information, the MG Pilot system, which is absolutely brilliant at this price point. So yeah, a lot going on. Then you've got a nice driver's display just behind here, showing your speed on the left, power that you're using on the right, and then in the middle show you statistics on your driving. The lane keep assist warnings will pop up, things like that. Yeah, smattering of buttons on the steering wheel, and then we've got a few stalks here on the side, one of those being the MG Pilot, which is a pretty good cruise control system. So overall, I do like it, and as I'm saying that, I just remembered panoramic roof, which is fantastic, and you've got this automated shade that can go back and forth, but you can open it up about half of it as well, and once again, it's all automated. There we go. Brings in plenty of light, doesn't it? Yeah, overall, this is just, it's very convincing. It's a compelling option if you're looking to save a bit of money on an SUV and go fully electric. And then, of course, you've got regenerative braking. So once again, here we're traveling along now at 70. So we've got 3 different levels of KERS, which is kinetic energy recovery system, regenerative braking. So we've got 3 different levels, and you just toggle between 3, 2 and 1. So let's put it up to 3 now. There's nobody behind me, so we're doing 70 kilometers. Take my foot off now. We're down to 60, down to 50, down to 40. We'll continue on there now. And I never touch the brake pedal, which is just brilliant, especially in slower moving traffic or on motorways when it's really, really busy and you're going 110, then down to 70, then up to 80, down to 50 and so on. Just, it makes it a lot easier. It's not one pedal driving. Would have been great to have that, but come on, we're not arguing at this price point. Let's talk charging on the MG ZS EV now, and this is where we charge her up there. Press that in, flap opens up, and at the top here, now it's great, the older one used to have a really awkward flap. It was actually horrible. This one is much nicer here, easier to get at. So on AC and your home charger, 7.4 kilowatts, you'll get a standard on this car. Now some markets you can option up to 11. I really would have liked to see them just roll out 11 across the board, but that's not the case. But still, it's okay. Then bottom one down here, and that is where you've got the 2 extra pins. That makes it the DC charger a lot faster. So these are the ones that you see on motorways, and the car will go up to about 94 kilowatts, which is pretty decent actually, and it'll hold a steady 50 kilowatts charging speed all the way up to about 85%. So you pull in at about 10% and you'll be back up to 80% in about 30 minutes, which is really enough time to go in, grab yourself a coffee, maybe a quick bite to eat, and you're back on the road with another 300 kilometers range in the car. It's quite decent, and at this price point it's excellent. Then in terms of driving dynamics, look, it's not great really. It's quite comfortable to drive, so when you're on the motorway it'll sit there nicely, but like, let's take this turn here, and I think there's a couple of ramps in this section just here, so when we turn into the corner, yeah, it rolls a good bit, all right, I have to say. Now there's a ramp coming up here, so let's just take this at 35 k's, big enough ramp, and yeah, very It's very smooth, so those little bumps, we kind of got bigger tires on it, they're not exactly low profile. And pull out, and plenty of power there to get you going, yeah. But yeah, so it's a little bit wafty really, so as you're going around corners you can feel it lolling about a little bit. But then the plus side of that is that it's so softly sprung, so when you're just driving it normally, it takes the bumps and the potholes and the ramps and stuff quite smoothly. And we're not talking about premium levels here, don't get me wrong, it's not going to have the feel of one of the Range Rovers or a big Audi, you know, Q7 or something like that. But yeah, do you know what, for just pottering around, picking up kids, going into work, you know, the regular stuff that you do, it's very comfortable. Let's talk battery range and efficiency on this, because it's hugely important when we're talking about EVs. Now this has a 72.6 kilowatt hour battery, but there's always a buffer at the lower end and the higher end that you don't get access to. So the usable battery in it is 68.3. But what does that mean? Well, in terms of WLTP, you're looking at about 450 kilometers of range, but they're always a little bit optimistic. But for me, this car is a solid 400 kilometer car. Now, I've probably done 2,000 or 3,000 kilometers in this over the few weeks that I've had it in total, and I tend to track for about that WLTP, so 450 kilometers, just pottering around town, dropping the kids off, things like that. But even in winter, you know, a little bit of rain, it's only 1 or 2 degrees, you're barreling from Cork up to Dublin, I still think you're going to knock 290 to 300 out of this, which is pretty good. So let's come out with some concluding thoughts on the MG ZS EV. And overall, it's absolutely astonishing value. Is it perfect? Well, no, not really. You know, does it feel luxurious inside? Not quite. The screen is a little bit grayscale and laggy, and you know, yeah, it's not hugely inspiring. But then you pinch yourself and you go, think about the price. You can get into one of these for about 32,000 euros, even fully spec'd out with a bigger battery, about 38,000. It's astonishing, really. But we did mention earlier on that there was a problem when we start talking about prices and specs, and it's this: people love these things and they want them, and the demand is just so high and the supply isn't there. So if you walk into a garage, you say, hey, I want an MG ZS EV, they're probably going to tell you that it'll be about 12 months before you'll get your hands on one. Now it might end up being a little bit faster, maybe there'll be an order cancellation or something like that, but it just goes to show you the demand for these cars, for such a good value EV. Yeah, MG have a hit in their hands with this one, and it's been shown in the sale numbers. But that's enough from us today. So if you are in the market for car insurance, it's coming up for renewal, even home insurance, travel insurance, get onto us. The website, theAA.ie, and of course there's our classic breakdown cover. We'll see you on the next one.